Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. This is a show where we review everything from Mad Max with Mel Gibson to the latest, greatest, craptastic Ryan Reynolds movies. I'm Jonathan Charney. He's James Stevens.
Hello.
And the Max Headroom lookalike in the lower left-hand corner is Ryan Preston. And since Ryan Preston was a loser last week and didn't make time to show up for the show, he's going to give his small, brief, unwanted opinion about the movie Super.
And he's on a timer. He's got 30 seconds.
Hey, no, fair enough. I really just I wanted to apologize for not being there. I actually picked the movie and then kind of bailed on it. I apologize.
You are on the clock, so hurry up.
Couldn't have been helped. So I just wanted it. I was originally going to give this a 3 until I heard that you guys really didn't like it, and I watched the review and I couldn't believe half the stuff I was hearing.
Really?
I really liked that movie for a lot of different reasons that I'm not going to get into right now, but I'm going to give it a 4 just so I can try to boost the rating that you guys gave it, so it doesn't average out to be something really crappy. Yeah.
Okay. So Ryan gave it a 4. So overall, that does boost the score. I mean, like we said last week, if you're curious about the review, watch last week's review. I wasn't a big fan, and I know James wasn't a big fan. And this week, so just to get back into this week's show, this week we went to see the movie Avengers. And since it's James' turn this time, what's it about?
Well, according to what they say, it's just basically Nick Fury gets a bunch of superhumans together, or, super people together, and they go and battle Loki, who is Thor's brother. And that's basically what the movie is about. Now, this was released May 4th, 2012, obviously this year. There we are. It's directed by Josh Whedon. Written by Josh Whedon and Zach Penn.
What other movies has Whedon done?
Basically, all the superhero ones that have come out recently for the one. Just a ton of movies here. Let me just pull them up. The Avengers, he's done Buffy, Toy Story, Serenity. He's done a lot of different things. Are you looking at producer, director, what?
Well, just kind of the general. He did all the superhero movies. He did Buffy.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of different things.
So Serenity,
TV show, movies. He's been bounced around quite a bit. He's got a pretty good repertoire of movies and TV shows that he's actually done. I mean, Buffy's not one to really snuff your nose at. It wasn't a great TV show, but it wasn't horrible either.
It did have a long end run, so you got to give it credit for that. It did last
exactly.
a while.
That's what I'm saying. So he's got a pretty good background. I honestly, am I going to be starting this thing off on the movie on what I think about it?
Yes.
Personally, I think it was actually very well done. For the goals that it set out, I think it met them. And that's a big thing for me, is if you set out a goal for a movie, you try to tell a specific story, and you do it, that speaks a lot. And I think that's exactly what this movie did. IMDb gives it an 8.7 rating. I'm not sure it qualifies that high of a rating, almost a 9 out of 10. But I think it should deserve a high rating since what it set out to do, it did. Couple things that I would... There's really nothing about this movie that I can say completely negative about it without being a nitpicker. So, on that note...
We do spend 30 minutes talking about one movie. I think you can nitpick just a little bit.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I was kind of annoyed about is a little bit of continuity there. I mean, there's a scene where Tony Stark is talking to Loki. All throughout the movie, his little freaking heart thing is glowing. In that scene, it doesn't glow.
You're right.
It's not glowing through the Black Sabbath T-shirt that he's been wearing for the past hour.
Which, by the way,
why was that not glowing? But that's an editor thing. I mean, that's really nitpicking. If that's the biggest negative thing I can say about the movie, it's done pretty damn well.
I was going to say that particular album, though, of Black Sabbath, wasn't particularly well liked.
No, but I want that T-shirt.
It's a cool T-shirt. So
that is a cool T-shirt.
What about you, Ryan?
Okay. To just really quick answer a thing that James was saying. This movie really didn't need to have a story. It had one. It had one, despite the fact that it didn't need one. You brought together like 5 or 6 characters that everybody wanted to see on the screen together for the longest time. And you didn't need to have any kind of a story. It would have made $200 million the first weekend, regardless of story or not. To me, that was a bonus.
Yeah.
It was a really, really good bonus. As far as Joss Whedon, this guy, I'm a fan of Joss Whedon.
I agree.
Specific. I mean, look, he came out. He started on like Roseanne, like back in the day, like writing TV episodes for Roseanne.
Wow.
He wrote Toy Story for crying out loud. He actually most recently did Cabin in the Woods, but what I'm a fan of him for is the Firefight series, the Serenity
I agree.
movie.
The Serenity movie was amazing.
Yeah, even most of the Buffy stuff, like the Buffy the Vampire stuff, because it was just really self-aware and really self-campy. You could tell he's a fan of this kind of things that he makes. So I thought he was a good choice. Now, 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
2.5 hours long this movie was, or 2:25 or whatever it was. I haven't been so interested and kind of just kept up to pace on things on a 2.5 hour movie in a really long time. There's usually a lot of just like your average little boring scenes, your obligatory, like let's move the plot forward scenes. This one didn't seem to have a whole lot of those. It was like the plot driving was done a lot by the action, by the characters kind of doing what their characters do, to which you get this many good people in the same room together. I mean, we're talking about, let's see here, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Mark Ruffalo, Johansson.
I'm not a big Scarlett Johansson fan, but I think she did a good job.
Not the greatest thing. I think The Prestige might be the one thing that I've seen her in that I enjoyed.
I agree.
Other than that, like, okay, but look at the character she was playing. It didn't.
It's kind of
it didn't have to be swinging for the fences on drama. You know what I mean? And I thought she played the whole little reverse interrogation scene really well.
Yeah, I thought she did a great job on that.
The scene, the reverse one I really liked was the one where she was talking with Loki, and Loki thought she knew what he thought she knows. Excuse me. Loki thought she knew what she was doing, and then at the end of it, she's just like, "Thank you, I got what I wanted."
Yeah, exactly.
Right, it was reverse interrogation. She inceptioned that motherfucker.
She that character by itself always seemed kind of one-dimensional to me, a lot more than Tony Stark.
A lot less gotten into, sure.
Yeah,
I think one-dimensional, far as like at least from what I've read, Captain America is kind of a one-dimensional character.
Yeah, he really is. That was one of the things I wanted to bring this up is the fact that
him start shooting people though.
I
like the dichotomy of the alpha male that they brought up into there. That was actually pretty cool between Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. No, just those three characters trying to figure out who's going to be in charge of this whole team, and then them trying to figure out really who's going to listen to who, and then it ended up finally being Captain America pulling everybody together,
which is
what the Avengers was about. Yeah, but it was kind of that they didn't really speak it; they kind of battled it out and decided.
Exactly.
And I thought that was really well done in that. And like you said, this is a 2.5 hour movie, and John and I were discussing this a little bit, trying not to get too much into what we were going to talk about about this movie, but. This movie did not feel 2.5 hours.
And that
did not. And didn't even notice.
And I didn't notice either.
That to me is a testament of filmmaking. Because when short films feel long, it's generally not a good thing. And when long films feel short, wanting for more, it's generally a positive because everything in the movie was well paced.
Yeah. I just watched a movie that I'm not going to name drop on, but I actually wanted to see this movie. I finally sat down.
Oh, that one.
Watched this movie. And this movie is barely 2 hours, and it felt like I spent 8 hours watching this movie. It felt like I put in a full day's work just trying to get through the movie. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
The acting was really good in the movie. The drama was very good, but the setup and everything, it was just, throughout the whole thing. Just tiresome and took too long. This movie is half an hour longer.
It drove like a great rock song, you know what I mean? It just like all the moments that you wanted to see were there. I think all the nerds and stuff that were really looking forward to this really got what they were looking for. I think the people who brought their kids to go see this really got what they were looking for on both ends, like for their kids and for themselves. My testament to how good this is, and it's rare that we all kind of everybody gets along, universally agrees on a movie. Usually it's like a middle America thing, and then like an everybody else kind of thing, or people in the know kind of thing, I guess. But this one, not only did I really like this movie, James, sounds like you really like it, John. Both my parents saw this movie in the movie theater. This might only mean something to James because he knows my folks. Both my parents in the movie theater saw this movie and both enjoyed it equally.
Wow.
You couldn't get two different opinions farther away from the spectrum, from the middle of the spectrum on these two.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they both sat there and really liked it. My mom's a big story fan, big continuity, likes to see that
she's
little,
not into the blood and guts
emotional
stuff.
things. And my dad's just show me shit blowing up for 2.5 hours and I'm happy. And so they must have married those two concepts really well.
I will say that the two scenes I liked the most. One was the scene where when Thor took down Loki, and there was when you had Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor fighting. When Thor went after both of them and realized that he can't do it as easily as he thought.
Yeah, well, that's kind of bringing down a god figure, as they claimed in the movie. There's two gods going at it.
As they said in the original Thor, it's not about like we call it God down here, but they call it just science on their planet or whatever. So it's they really walked that line between mythology and like, look, this is just another planet.
Yeah, I mean, the line in there was where magic and technology. Well, they said magic and technology were the same.
Yeah,
right.
I really liked that.
Yeah, I was gonna agree with John. There was a couple scenes I did like. That scene that wasn't really one of my favorite scenes. Now you brought this up because you had seen the Avengers before me, and I had always had a problem with the portrayal of Bruce Banner as an actor.
Oh yeah.
As a live action actor, there's been a lot of bad
just
depictions.
Weird choices,
I mean, I like Norton's version.
I like Ed Norton, well enough, but it was just okay.
Hold on. Let me finish my thought here before we get into this.
Sure.
Now, my point is that I like Norton. I do like Norton. His portrayal of Bruce Banner was always on the fence for me. I didn't like it. I didn't dislike it.
I
didn't outright hate it. Let's put it that way.
My thing with Norton's is it didn't show the intelligence of Bruce Banner.
Right.
I think it turned him into just a normal, average action hero guy, not the intelligent brainiac he was. That's where I think Mark Ruffalo did. Yeah. I think the epitome of Bruce Banner.
Played the scientist so well, played the kind of calm contempt for everybody because he has to be that way, and it was
the underlying.
It was so good. It was so good to see that.
And thank you for not doing the "you won't like me when I'm angry."
Oh,
God,
yeah.
Thank you for not doing that line.
I love my favorite. My favorite line is towards the end of the movie when everybody's wondering how is he going to control the Hulk, and he says, what his secret was
is he
that he's always angry.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well played. I thought that was the line that was the epitome right there of the character.
The Hulk change.
Yeah.
Like instantly.
Yeah. That was a really cool thing. I really got to give hats off to him for pulling off a good I wouldn't even say a good, I would say an exceptional.
I'm glad you guys noticed this as much as I did.
Bruce Banner.
Really liked it because he wasn't as predominant as some of the other characters, but he with an economy of words really pulled that character off.
Yeah.
And I'm also glad for not the gratuitous shirt ripping scenes.
Oh yeah,
because he did that once, and I was glad because every Hulk movie he goes through like 9 or 10 shirts and different scenes.
Oh, and then the shoes explode. Yeah, and all this stuff just to show the Hulk popping out. That's nice. We've seen it, and we've seen it.
I did read something that I thought of before I saw this movie. What they said is, you saw the controlled Hulk in the beginning. The first time you see the Hulk, you see the uncontrolled pure rage that is the Hulk.
Well, look, here's my thing. The Incredible Hulk, first they came out with Hulk, but we don't talk about that movie.
Yeah.
Then they came out with the Incredible Hulk, which is supposed to be the beginning of the continuity for the Avengers. The way it works out to me is he basically left after the events of the Incredible Hulk and kind of started learning how to control it. That's where they catch up with him in I don't remember what country that was. But basically what they showed in the movie wasn't him finally learning how to control it. It was basically showing the difference between him getting super pissed off and then him being able to just turn it on and off like he can.
Yeah, what I meant by super pissed off is when he's in the control room with Loki's staff. That right there was the scene where he really had no target, and Johansson just happened to be
just happened to be there.
Just
that's where I like the transition.
Had that moment of like, oh crap, this is your moment. You got to run because I know what's about to happen, and then he just snapped.
Yeah, and I love another favorite scene is when Thor and him and the Hulk were fighting that giant floating dune worm, and they landed in that building, and Hulk just went whack, after they defeated it, and just knocked him sideways.
Well, I also like the fact that
that was one of my favorite scenes right there. He wasn't quite done with the ass whooping, just had to lay one into Thor.
Yeah,
exactly.
I liked also the little bit in there when he and Loki get in Tony Stark's office, and he slams him.
Yeah.
That is total Hulk moment right there.
That was my favorite moment in that entire movie, as I'm sure it was for most people. It was just
I think everybody loved that movie.
That kind of thing, on screen like that. Like, basically, this entire movie turned me into a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah,
exactly.
Seriously.
Well, the other part I really liked, which I thought it was the epitome of comparing the two characters, is when Loki and Tony Stark met in Tony's tower. And he hit the Stark with his staff, and he said, "This normally works." And you got to see the genius of Tony Stark, and you got to see the humanity of Loki. I think you got to see that he went from being a god in that scene to being just another victim.
Right, and they really definitely showed Loki's little sort of his kind of inferiority complex,
exactly,
kind of just all come to the surface at that moment.
And I love the Mark 7 suit when he jumped out the building.
Yeah,
and it just flew right towards him.
Fucking dude! I mean, I grew up with the original. I don't know about the original, but a version of Iron Man that was on the cartoons.
Exactly.
And this, I mean, he had this giant tower worth of like 100, 200 suits.
Oh, yeah.
All of them with different functions. So seeing the underwater, welding kind of things and seeing him, like get into another suit, and the fact that he has more, for different applications, that brought me back.
Which is one of my number one complaints when he went into space. He lost oxygen.
Yeah.
I thought that was supposed to be a sealed environment. Somehow he goes in space and he's like, that was one complaint right there. I was watching that going, really? You're Iron Man and you're out of oxygen.
But my thing about that is the fact that he's learning. Hopefully they develop it and change it to where he gets into more of a sealed environment. It was just a mistake type thing. I don't know.
Well, they did say the suit wasn't ready. I mean, I think you could read in between the lines there.
Yeah, there's a little nitpicking that you can take into there. Now, one of the things I did want to bring up is I enjoyed the CG. Very good.
There was only a few scenes that were really CGE.
Even noticeable CG. The rest of it, I thought they melded pretty good.
The one scene to me that was super stood out was the scene when they were fighting and Hulk grabbed the part of a Harrier or an airplane.
Oh yeah.
That to me was almost as bad as Lockout, but not quite.
Well, I mean, they did it a little differently. They didn't zoom in on that as
Which
much
was
as
helpful.
they did in Lockout. But I mean, that's a difficult one to do without CG.
Yeah.
There was this really great moment, kind of right in the middle of that really epic battle that Joss Whedon did this really great one shot. He took. I can't remember who he started with. It's been a week or so since I've seen this. But he started with somebody and then just followed that person to the next person, to the next person, to the next person throughout the entire city in one shot, and brought together sort of all the characters kind of at that moment. And you'd almost think that kind of thing would play off cheesy, as I'm sure it sounds like I'm explaining it. It sounds kind of cheesy, but seeing that, I swear that gave me fucking chills, man. Like that was one of the coolest things that I think I've ever seen, and that's why we all wanted to see this.
Well, that was very cool. See, I was trying to figure out exactly, because you had mentioned this one before, and I thought you were talking about the 360 round, where they just were all standing around in a circle looking at everybody.
Oh, no, not that one.
No, hold on. I know which one you're talking about, and that one was very good. That one was a very good scene, where there was, I think it started with Hawkeye was fighting. I think Hawkeye was fighting, and then they jumped to another part where he helped a superhero.
Right, and then it all kind of brings them together, sort of right there at the end, kind of
where he does the 360 around.
Yeah, I gotta say another.
That was all one shot.
I gotta say,
that's impressive shit.
That is
another thing that really is starting to bug me is the handy shaky cam fast cuts to another scene, and the fast handy cam shake to the other cut. I mean I understand why they do it, because it gives a sense of motion, it gives a sense of action. But towards the end, after that one cut, that's all you got was these really fast cuts.
You know what? I didn't. Okay, fast cuts, yeah, but as far as like kind of taking the Bourne series kind of style of let's just do this around, like some sort of action, and hopefully it's gonna, be a little more epic. They really tried to make the action that was going on right in front of the screen. Everything was really kind of dead centered. There was a lot of like quick cuts and things like that to other things, kind of back and forth. But it was when they cut back and forth, it was
centered on screen.
What you were looking at.
Yeah, I gotta admit that was something I was happy for. That it was
centered
on. Yeah. Oh, it was centered on screen, which I liked. And I was gonna say, I read the other day something that I really appreciated. I read that the first Iron Man was completely ad-libbed.
As far as what?
With Robert Downey?
Yeah, I read that they had some basic story, but because how fast it got approved, they didn't really have a script. And seeing how that went on for the second one, because the first one I liked, the second one I wasn't a big fan of. And you see the third evolution of the character in a movie, and I thought I finally got to see kind of where the character went, and
Yeah.
See, I would have expected the second Iron Man to be ad-libbed because of how holy and thrown together that storyline was. The only big thing about the second Iron Man was basically Tony Stark changing his little heart.
Yeah.
And that was basically the whole point of that whole storyline.
I mean, look, there was really no great story. It was just a couple of action scenes that everybody liked, and like thrown together with, like you said, a really thrown together story.
I think basically,
then you take somebody like Joss Whedon, who has a tendency for making good things. You give him an insane budget, and what does he do? He makes you $1 billion.
I think the payout for the second one was War Machine. That was really it.
Yeah,
you could have done that differently.
I got to say though, that was something I wasn't.
In the first one, man, everybody wanted to see it.
I got to say though, I'm surprised he wasn't in this one. It wasn't even remotely hinted at anywhere in this one.
Really didn't need to be, man, with everybody that was in this.
Well, I was expecting to see War Machine somewhere in there. That's one thing that surprised me, that he wasn't.
Well, War Machine was never really that
prevalent,
yeah.
He was a sidekick.
Yeah, he was a sidekick that came on and off. It was like all the Robins. I mean,
True.
Yeah, you don't see Robin hanging around the Justice League that much.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was to say, so anybody else have any other parts that really spoke to them? Far as this was an awesome scene, because my favorite was still the one where they were when it was the three Avengers fighting each other. Because my favorite scene is when Thor hit Captain America's hammer. I mean, hit his shield.
Yeah.
Hit the vibranium.
Yeah.
That was your favorite scene?
I liked when Thor did the whole little lightning thing and hit Stark and boosted his little power.
That was in the same section. Come on, can you pick a different section?
I know.
Well, overall, I think that was my favorite scene. That was one of my favorite scenes because I thought that was the one you got to see, and I think they're the quick evolution of man. You got to see the technology. You got to see where Asgardian human technology was on the same level at some point than Asgardian.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So your favorite scene was basically Thor supercharging Tony Stark.
No. My favorite scene was Hulk ragdolling Loki.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was one of the funniest things. I almost jumped up in my seat, like literally clapping my hands together. All I needed was a lollipop and a propeller beanie.
wow.
John, yours was
Mine was the fighting scene. That was one of my many the fighting scene between the three Avengers that I liked. The other scene was when Loki was getting his butt kicked by a Hulk.
Yeah.
What about yours, James?
Hulk punching Thor.
That one too. That's another favorite.
That little that
made me laugh so hard. Just
yeah.
Pat.
And that's the kind of thing
smile. And then the smile. That's Hulk.
And I also heard the Hulk I heard was completely motion capture, which apparently is the first time the same guy has ever played the Hulk at the same time.
I was actually not aware of this.
That's what I read that the other day, which I thought was really
that's
cool.
actually kind of like unnecessarily impressive.
Okay, so anything else stand out to you, Ryan, about this movie that you feel you haven't?
I as far as standing out, I think I mentioned all the parts that stand out and the reasons I really freaking like this movie. I wanted to bring up one more thing, just as far as back when, I don't know, probably the original Iron Man or something like that was the first one to maybe tease the idea of the Avengers. I think he brought out Nick Fury in the end of Iron Man, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever since then, it kind of, just the concept alone sort of teased me, like everybody heard Avengers, and in the back of my mind I heard Justice League of America, because that was always kind of my bread and butter. I was always a Batman, Superman, Martian Manhunter, Flash, all that good stuff.
Throw in the super.
That's what I really kind of was hoping that this would all end up leading towards, and I'm hoping that DC now realizes, after $1 billion worldwide and probably more at this point, that they need to start jumping on this freaking bandwagon and start tying together some goddamn movies. I need to see that movie as much as I was so bloody thrilled to see this one.
If Nolan did it, I'd be down with it. The problem with it, it's going to be super comic booky, even more than the Avengers was. That's going to be my main problem.
Just because you're adding characters like Martian Manhunter and Wonder Woman with the lasso of truth and invisible flame.
I like Martian Manhunters.
I like Hawkman. I like Hawkgirl. I like them.
I guess to wrap this the show up for the day.
Right.
I gave it a 3. I thought it was really entertaining. I didn't quite, for me, think it was worth a 4, because there were some things that were like, kind of intolerable. There were a couple of scenes that I just thought were overall weren't exciting, but overall I gave it a 3. And what about yourself, James?
Well, everybody knows I'm the mean one.
Yes, you are.
Simon, I'm coming after you. Anyways, I think as far as what this movie did, it set out to do, really great. I think I'm not giving it more than a 3 just to sum it up, because I'm just a jerk. Anyway,
Ryan's about to cry.
I know. Look at those tears.
So
hey, I gave it a higher rating than Super, so come on.
So what about yourself, Ryan? What was your score?
Basically, John, your reasons, with like you said, the couple of random scenes that weren't that good, a couple of the obligatory kind of random scenes, like sort of in the first act mostly, is the only reason I'm not giving this movie a 5.
Wow. So you're giving it a 4? Wow, wow.
Yeah.
So that's our second 4, and all in the same episode.
Well, technically.
Wow.
First one was retroactive.
So I get, and I thought I was the nice guy when it came to movies. I'm actually shocked.
I was a freaking goofy, giddy 10-year-old kid watching this movie. I couldn't have been happier with it, and yeah, huge fan.
So, ladies and gentlemen, next week's movie, since it's my pick, is going to be the first. It's going to be the first Alien movie with Sigourney Weaver. That's Alien, not Aliens. Aliens is the second one. So
Ridley Scott 5.
Yep. So next week is going to be the movie Alien, which I thoroughly enjoy, and we'll be interested to see James's opinion on it, since he's kind of the asshole of the group.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't say asshole. I said jerk. Get it
okay.
right.
Asshole. It's okay. You didn't have to say it, Brady.
I was putting words in your mouth.
Ryan, I'm going to refrain from any comments that might degrade your
character.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
So for James Stevens, Ryan Preston, and myself, Jonathan Charney, see you next week.
Hi, I'm Rob Charney, Old Guy Tech TV, and I'm here to talk to you today about Windfall and the El Dorado County Fair. The largest event of El Dorado County will soon be here. Don't miss this opportunity to promote and build your business by advertising in the 2012 El Dorado County Fair Guide, published exclusively by the Windfall. The El Dorado County Fair Association is very excited to partner with Windfall again this year. Last year was such a success, we are thrilled to work with them again. The exposure that the El Dorado County Fair has in our community is amazing. We don't want you to miss it. Jody W. Gray, CEO of El Dorado County Fair, just told us this. So distributed in the Windfall and El Dorado Hills Telegraph, June 8th, 2012, and available to the public at the welcome information booths at each entrance during the fair. This user-friendly guide features a map of the fairgrounds, event vendor locations, and includes the schedule of events. Reservations are required, space is limited, circulation is 20,000 plus copies, and the deadline is 5/25/2012. So make sure you get your ad into the Windfall today. Tell them Rob sent you.